There are people in this world who are brilliant and broken in equal measure, men whose genius and madness live so close together that even they cannot tell where one ends and the other begins. Samir was one of those men. To the world, he was a celebrated surgeon, respected, decorated, admired. His hands had saved countless lives inside the operating room. But what those same hands did in the darkness of night was something no hospital board, no medical journal, and no colleague would ever have approved of. Samir had a secret. A terrifying one. Whenever the pressure of his life became too heavy, whenever stress clawed at the inside of his skull and sleep refused to come, he would slip out into the city's deserted streets after midnight and find himself something to experiment on. Stray animals in the beginning. Then, as his obsession deepened and his hunger for answers grew beyond what animals could satisfy, he turned to something else entirely. Unclaimed dead bodies. The forgotten ones. The people who had died without family, without anyone to come claim them, without anyone who would notice or ask questions. To Samir, they were not people anymore. They were raw material. They were science waiting to happen. He told himself he was doing something great. Something that would change the world. He was trying to conquer the one thing that had defeated every human being since the beginning of time, death itself. On one such night, Samir made his way to the hospital morgue under the cover of darkness. With the help of a security guard who had learned not to ask too many questions, he had an unclaimed corpse brought into his private laboratory. The guard, nervous as always, tried to make small talk, asking Samir what exactly he did with so many dead bodies. Samir looked at him with those red, sleepless eyes of his and told him the truth, that he was trying to bring them back to life. He asked the guard, almost cheerfully, how extraordinary it would be if a person could come back from the dead. The guard laughed awkwardly and said that was impossible. That the dead stayed dead. Samir tilted his head and said something that made the guard's blood run cold. He said quietly, with complete seriousness, that it was entirely possible. Because he himself had come back to life after dying once. And then he stared at the guard with those hollow, bloodshot eyes and said nothing more. The guard took one look at Samir's face and ran. And Samir stood there in the empty lab and laughed at the sound of retreating footsteps. Alone now, he turned to the body on the table. He examined it carefully, methodically, checking for cuts, wounds, signs of trauma. There were none. The man had likely died of a heart attack, which in Samir's calculation meant the chances of revival were significantly higher. No external